Hello, welcome to Locked on Sharks, the premier hockey podcast of your favorite team in the Bay Area. On today's episode, we're going to recap the Sharks' 2-1 loss to the New Jersey Devils, and then we'll also recap the Sharks' 3-0 shutout victory over the Philadelphia Flyers. So all that and more on today's episode of Locked on Sharks.
You're Locked on Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm your host, JD Young, contributor at Fear the Fan at San Jose Hockey Now. I want to thank you for making Locked on Sharks your first listen. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can subscribe on YouTube as well. And the Sharks, busy weekend, of course, the third straight weekend with back-to-back games. But they finished their road trip 2-2 here after splitting the weekend series against the Devils and the Flyers. And you feel like there is some positives to be taken away from this team and kind of what they're starting to do. Now, do I think this is going to vault them into being a playoff contender or even just a decent team? No, but there's still a lot of positives you've taken away. And I think we have to start with the goaltending. Kaapo, Kahkonen, and James Reimer both had stellar weekends this weekend. Kaapo, Kahkonen was amazing in the 2-1 loss against the Devils. And then James Reimer earned a shutout against the Flyers as well. And I know the Flyers are really kind of banged up right now. They are also on the second night of a back-to-back. But anytime you get a shutout in the NHL, that is a really, really good thing to see. So you don't just get shutouts, right? They're not like the easiest things in the world to get. So, but anyway, yes, great to see the goaltending really start to kind of round into form, especially after Kaapo Kahkonen had a rough start in his first couple games of the season, and it was good to see him play really well in a game where the Sharks were dominated by the Devils, and we'll get into both these games here in a little bit, but I want to kind of start with the big takeaways. So really, really excited about the goaltending. I think Kaapo Kahkonen is going to be a starter in the league type of guy. So good for him to kind of get those two bad games out. And then let's see if he can start to kind of get on a roll here. And good for Reimer, who's been stellar all season long and, earning that shutout and stuff. So it's going to be really sad when the Sharks trade him at the deadline. But good to see James Reimer get that shutout. So, and then the kind of other big takeaway, of course, is just the lack of goals from the Sharks. They've scored 3 goals twice this season. They had in the win. Yeah, well, this is their formula. If they get to 3 goals, they're going to win, right? But 3 goals in the win. The Rangers, which they needed overtime, and then they scored 3 goals against the Flyers, and one of those was an empty netter when John Tortorella pulled the goalie with like 4 minutes left because they were down by 2, and the Flyers just couldn't really get much offense going. So it's starting to become a little worrisome that Timo and Hurdle haven't been able to light the lamp. They were really, really good in the Flyers game, and they're both just extremely overdue. So goals are going to come. It's the impatient, like, when are we going to get to the firework factory with Timo Meier and Tomas Hurdle of when are we going to start seeing some goals scored? Because they're doing everything right, and they're playing pretty solid hockey, but they're just not getting rewarded for it. And I'm hoping this isn't a year-long trend, as my 90-point Timo prediction is looking terrible right now. Maybe 9-point Timo at this rate. No, but yeah, it's going to come with these guys, and it's just frustrating that they haven't been able to do that as well. So, and then kind of my final big kind of takeaway is some of these guys that my group brought in, they've been looking really solid. And I talked about Nico Sturm last week. again, coming in and playing the third line this week, especially now that Nick Bonino was out for the Flyers game, dealing with an injury. They didn't want to, rush him back there. So, but Nico Sturm has really, really been a solid addition for the Sharks, and more than advertised since, playing first on the fourth line, now playing on that third line. He's been really great. Steven Lorentz got a nice tip and goal in the Flyers game, but some of these additions that have starting to look like they might work out a little bit. Again, they're NHL caliber guys compared to what the Sharks have had before. It's not like, they're not adding, Mario Lemieux in his prime or anything like that. But, it's good to see some of these guys starting to really, really kind of find their groove and, prove that, hey, we can actually play some pretty decent hockey. So still kind of bad takeaways. The Sharks' second period struggles are brutal. I know they played a lot better in the Flyers game, but I'm kind of chalking that up to the Flyers being gassed and second night of a back-to-back and just down. They're very, very injured right now. But, as we saw on this road trip where the second period, the Sharks are just constantly getting outplayed, getting outshot, outscored, et cetera, et cetera. This was the first time the Sharks had a lead heading into the third period all season, which is not a good way to try to win a lot of hockey games if you can't gain leads, let alone hold leads. So overall, the road trip 2-2, squeaked out a win against the Rangers that they probably had no business winning, but they looked really great in that third period. Got outplayed by the Devils, and then beat a Flyers team that is very injured right now. And Carter Hart, who's been carrying them, wasn't in net. So they were playing Felix Sandstrom, who's kind of a AHL, NHL kind of tweener goalie right now. So, but they got to probably feel a lot better about themselves after the win, flying home. They got a big slate of games this week. So yeah, let's get into the Devils game. But before we do that, let's take a quick break. Talk to you guys about our friends over at SimpliSafe. If you guys don't know about SimpliSafe yet, you're missing out. The numbers don't lie. In the last decade, over 4 million people have chosen SimpliSafe home security to protect their home. You don't earn the trust of that many people without doing something right. At SimpliSafe, your safety is the only thing that matters. And the great thing about them is they protect you with cutting-edge security technology powered by 24/7 professional monitoring agents who always have your back. So what does that mean? 24/7 professional monitoring. Agents will call you the moment a threat is detected and dispatch police or first responders in an emergency, even if you're not home or you can't be reached. They blanket your home in protection with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door, HD security cameras for inside and outside your home, smarter ways to detect motion that only alert you when the threat is real. So if like a squirrel runs in your backyard, they're not going to call you for that. And they even have hazard sensors that can detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. So go check out and customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplisafe.com/lockedonnhl, and you'll save 20% on your SimpliSafe security system when you sign up for interactive monitoring plan. And you'll get your first month free. So visit simplisafe.com/lockedonnhl to learn more. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. All right, so let's get into the Devils game, which the early game, all right, the 10 a.m. games on the West Coast are, I mean, it's nice because then you, from a fan perspective, because then you can kind of watch it and enjoy your coffee and, have some lunch and stuff. But for the players, though, I'm sure it's not, it's kind of brutal, I assume, just like because your body is not ready for that. But, we saw both teams kind of struggle to get things going until about midway through the first period before either team really kind of got going there. But yeah, so just a quick reminder, Sharks lost 2-1. Kevin LeBanc, the only goal scorer. Igor Saraganovich, unassisted goal where he pickpocketed Vlasic and Dawson Mercer on the power play to end the Sharks penalty kill streak. So, but let's dig into some of the numbers on this game. So, another second period for the Sharks. We'll start there, where they just got hammered in their own zone and stuff. And we even extended to the third period when the Sharks were down. But so total shots for was 29-16 at 5-on-5. So even strength. 15-7 in the second period. Not good. High danger chances by the Devils in the second period. 6-1, and it felt like it. Where there was a lot of great saves in that game, especially that second period by Kaapo Kahkonen. For the forward lines, so here's how they lined up. Barabanov, Hurdle, and Meyer. They played almost 11:43 total ice time. They had 11 shot attempts compared to 16 actual shots. So it was 3-10. So the Devils did a really good job of blocking their shots or making them miss, or kind of getting in the way of their shots. So while the Devils got a lot of shots off on goal on them. So they had 6 scoring chances for and gave up 12. And then when it comes to zone starts, they did get a lot of offensive zone starts, which you like to see. 7 offensive zone starts, 5 neutral zone starts, and 1 defensive zone start. So putting your guys in position to succeed. They just weren't able to take advantage of it, especially against this Devils. We saw how fast these Devils forwards were, especially on the forecheck and stuff, and it made the defenders really struggle on the transition and try to get the puck out of their zone. Next was the Luke Cunnin, Logan Couture, Nick Bonino, 9-10 time on ice. Kind of the same story. 7 shot attempts and give up 13. 2 shots for to 9. Ooh, brutal. And then zone starts, 2 offensive zones, 4 neutral zones, and 4 defensive zone starts. So again, interesting there. You had the fourth line of Oscar Lindblom, Steven Lorentz, and Matt Nieto. 7:54 time on ice together. 4 shots, 8 shot attempts allowed. And then 1 actual shots on goal was 1-4 in favor of the Devils lines. And 2, 2, and 5. So 5 defensive zone starts for them. And then the eye of the Sturm line, Svechnikov, Sturm, and Kevin LeBanc, 7:22, 10 shot attempts for 2 allowed. So this was easily your best line of the game. Actual shots on goals, 5-2. And they had 4 offensive zone and 5 defensive zones. Very interesting where they had a lot of defensive zone starts, but they were still able to get a fair amount of offense going. So much like what we've seen from the Sharks is these lines just kind of getting eaten up the entire time. So Kaapo Kahkonen, though, like I said, he had himself a game. So 34 of 36 shots saved, gave up the 2 goals. Expected goals against was 363. So great job there, right? He should have gave up almost 4 goals expected and only gave up 2. So save percentage of 944. 11 high danger chance saves, 11 high danger chance shots, 9 saves, 12 mid danger and 12 low danger. So he was very busy on Saturday morning with a lot of danger shots that he was continually having to deal with. And yeah, it was I'd say Kaapo Kahkonen really he had himself a really nice game that day. And like looking at those numbers, it's amazing that the Sharks actually weren't blown out like 4-1 type of situation just because of the way that they played. The defense for the Sharks was kind of, again, this Devils team, the way they're built is they're going to take a lot of shots and they're going to try to limit to you as much, especially with how fast and how aggressive their young forwards are, where they can play that style of hockey. And we saw a lot of the defenders just kind of struggle to get the transitions going. Vlasic got his pocket picked, right off of right off of a face-off, and the other, he didn't really have too much help there. It kind of felt like everyone was like, "Oh, Vlasic's got it," and they started moving out, and then he got his pocket picked there. But the defense it's still, we're having this revolving door of trying to find Erik Karlsson a partner. In this game, it was Harrington, and the Flyers game, it was Megna, and it's kind of weird that we can't find Erik Karlsson a partner at this point. We're almost 10 games into the season, and he's been kind of splitting partners duties. So I kind of want to see Simek up there. I think Shimek's had a really, really solid start to the season. I know he's been playing on the third pair, but he has more confidence in his game. So that would be my solution. At least try it for a couple games. I'd like to, put Simek up there, see what he does. Maybe, again, Simek he looks a lot better and more confident this year. So I would try him. And then you could put Megna or Harrington down there on your third pair with Mario Ferraro right now. But that's who I would try right now. But that's just me, at least until Marcus Nudivara comes back. So before we get into the Flyers game, a look at how kind of the Flyers won this and how the hurdle line was outstanding. But I want to let you guys know, of course, when you guys are done listening to this, go check out the Locked On Game to Game NHL. Every moment, every top performance, every result, Locked On Game to Game covers your game from across the NHL with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Great way to get caught up on the night before. You want to find out who won, how they won. Locked On Game to Game has got you covered. They're available wherever you get podcasts, including the Odyssey app and on YouTube as well. All right, so the Flyers game. So the Sharks, very nice win for them. Again, the little bit tough for the Flyers, that dealing with a lot of injuries. I didn't realize how injured they were until I wrote the actual the preview. They are devastated by injuries, and Carter Hart has been saving their bacon a lot. So. But this was a game where the Sharks kind of exercised their second period demons a little bit, and they were able to get some offense going, at least I wouldn't say get some offense going, but limit the other team just dominating them. So let's go through the numbers. So 5-on-5 shot attempts 4. Flyers actually outshot the Sharks 25-21 at 5-on-5. All situations it was 31-25, but the third period had a lot to do with that, where the Flyers were in desperation mode, down 2 goals, and the Sharks basically just parked the bus and hoped that, and knowing James Reimer was going to bail them out. So, but that second period, like I said, 9 shot attempts, 4 for the Sharks, and they only gave up 4, which is much different than what we've seen. Flyers, like I said, in the third period at 5-on-5 was 13-5, but Flyers were in desperation mode, and the Sharks were just trying to get out of there with a win. So Sharks did a really good job with the high danger chances, especially in the first period. They were getting in front of the net and doing a good job of putting pressure on Felix Sandstrom, who's, again, I think this was his 6th NHL start. So great way to try to kind of test a young goaltender early. I know they didn't score in the first period, but they did a good job of getting to him and making him actually have to work. And that, I think those like kind of body blows that, kind of opens things up for you later. So Yes. So, and then we saw that with the Erik Karlsson goal again, kind of from that was from the face-off circle, but a lot of movement right in front of him, and then Erik Karlsson kind of comes screaming in and hammers home a slap shot that he likes to do and scores a goal there. But a lot of movement and activity in front of Sandstrom, really making him scramble, and then Karlsson doing Karlsson things to finish it off. So with the forward lines, though, this is what you like to see from some good games all around except for one line. Barabanov Hurdle-Meyer, 26-46 time on ice at 5-on-5, 12 shot attempts, 4, gave up 7. Actual shots on goal was 5-4. But, they were really dominant in the first kind of 2 periods. And at the end of it, when they were trying to hold a lead, So 5-5-5. So very even with the offensive neutral zone and defensive zone starts. The eye of the Sturm line, Svechnikov, Nico Sturm, Kevin LeBanc, 9:39 time on ice, 15 shot attempts, 7 allowed. Actual shots and goal was 7-4. And yeah, they did a great job because even if you look at their expected goals, 0.43, and they only had a 0.13 expected goals allowed. So, and that was 4, and 6. So they actually led with defensive zone starts. So that's very impressive that they were able to hold whoever they were matching up with. Even though they started in the defensive zone more times than not, they were only able to hold their opponents to a 0.13 expected goals allowed. So that's very positive. So eye of the Sturm line has been really holding it down. Noah Gregor, who drew in for Nick Bonino because of Nick Bonino's injury, running into Kevin LeBanc in the Devils game. Gregor Couture kind of 7:39 time on ice, 3 shots for 10 allowed. Actual shots on goal was 2-5, and then they 3 offensive zone, 5 neutral, 5 defensive zone. And then the Oscar Lindblom, Lorenz, Matt Nieto, 7:36 time on ice together. Nice, very nice by them. 12 shot attempts, 6 shots allowed. And they had 1, 5, and 5. So mostly neutral zone and defensive zone starts. So, and they did score a goal. The Lorenz goal was a pretty nice little tip there as he's running across. Jacob Magna shoots it and he's able to kind of tip it in there. So I was really hoping Oscar Lindblom would score a goal just because I really wanted to see him do that. But again, this line did a really good job with their expected goals allowed, especially with the neutral zone and defensive zone starts, but they only allowed 0.08 expected goals allowed. So pretty solid by them. Let's look at James Reimer, who was a absolute stud. 31 shots, 31 saves, 239 expected goals against. So much better job by the Sharks. So kind of limiting the high danger chances as we get into the quality of the shots here. But Reimer was a stud, especially in that third period when they needed him to make a couple saves to keep the shutout intact. But yeah, he only had faced 8 high danger chance shots, 3 medium danger, but 18 low danger. So the Sharks did a good job of keeping it on the outside, keeping it around the perimeter and not getting those really, really quality chances not allowing the Flyers to get those really, really quality chances. So good job by the Sharks there. We'll see if this is sustainable now that that they're going to be playing much better competition here. They think they got Vegas, they got Toronto, I think their next 2 games. So I think it's something like that. So Vegas and Toronto I know are this week, but so we'll see how it lasts when they're actually having to play better competition. But a win's a win, and you did it against a Flyers team that started the season really hot and 4-1 is now 4-2. But yeah, so overall, not too bad of the road trip, 2-2. Getting a big win against the Rangers, and then winning against a team that you should have won against the Flyers, who are decimated by injuries and had somebody I think James Van Reed's like he left. I said James. Anyway, JVR, he left the game, during the middle of the game as well. So, yeah, it was, so good for the Sharks. Get a win. Tough sledding coming up here, the schedule. So, that's going to do it for me today. Really quick shout out to the CUDA. Perfect 4-0. So if you missed my CUDA postcast on Saturday night, you can go check that on YouTube exclusive. Hung out, talked about the CUDA. It was fun. Did it for like 30 minutes. So it was fun to hang out with you guys again. Try to do that this weekend or something like that. Well, actually, no, this weekend I won't. I'll be at the CUDA game. So, yep. But that's going to do it for me today. Be back tomorrow. Going to preview the Vegas Golden Knights game. Get you guys all ready for that. Make sure you guys are following along Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Locked on Sharks. Got clips and all that fun stuff going up on there now. So go follow those. You can, of course, listen to the show wherever you get podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Odyssey, all those places. Watch it on YouTube. If you want to watch, you can do that. Follow me on Twitter at MyFryHole, and be back tomorrow with a Vegas preview. And until then, bye, friends.